Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this fifth round of the Italian Youth Debate Championship in English. Today, we are here to witness a debate, an interesting debate on the following motion. One moment. This House would boycott the Milano-Cortina 2026 Paralympics Games in response to the admission of Russian and Belarusian athletes. The pro position will be defended by the team from Turin, Majo speaking corners, while the opposition will be defended by the team from Tuscany, Da Vinci debaters. I would now like to ask the teams to introduce themselves, starting from the pro team. Please.
I'm Lucia Santoriello, first speaker of the proposition team.
Okay. The second?
I'm Viola Di Maggio, and I'm the second speaker of the proposition team.
Okay. And the first speaker is?
I'm Niccolo Felletti, and I'll be third speaker for side proposition. If it's not an issue, we'll all be using the same microphone from Lucia's computer because we're in the same room, so we're going to avoid echoes with that.
Yes, yes. And the reply speech?
It's me, Viola Di Maggio.
Okay. Okay. And now the op team.
I am Fabio Carnesecca, and I will be the first speaker of team opposition, and I will also do the reply.
Thank you. Okay. The following.
I'm Nicola Ribolla, and I will be the second speaker.
And the first speaker will be?
I'm Emiliano Federici and will be the third speaker.
Okay. Thank you very much. And and now let us introduce the panel of judges who will be adjudicating this debate. I'm Massimo Leone, and I will be the chair of this panel. And my colleagues are?
Hi, everyone.
Okay, Giovanna, you go.
I'm sorry. I'm Giovanna Falcone. I'm a panelist in this debate.
Thank you.
And I'm Maria Geraci, and I'm the second panelist of this debate.
Okay. Before we begin, a quick reminder of the rules that you already you know so well, but someone watching this debate or the video recording might not know this. This debate will consist of 6 constructive speeches of 8 minutes each, starting with the first speaker for the pro team. During this speech, between the 2nd and the 7th minute, opposing speakers may offer points of information. I assume you are all in agreement to take this orally. It's so? Orally is verbally. Okay. Thank you. The debate will then conclude with the rebuttal speech lasting 5 minutes each, starting from the op team. So, if everyone is ready, we can start the debate. Everyone is ready? Judges, debaters? Okay. Giovanna will take the time, the official time, and we are ready to give the floor to the first speaker of the pro team. Please.
Good evening, everyone. I'm Lucia Santoriello, first speaker of the proposition team, which will debate today's motion, which is this House would boycott the Milano-Cortina 2026 Paralympics Game in response to the admission of Russian and Belarusian athletes. In ancient Greece, Olympics Games stopped wars. Men literally stopped fighting to participate. Why? Because sport is one of the most unifying things in the life of a man. And for centuries, we were forced to stop organizing them because the society was not ready to reintroduce them. Why? Because we lost that value. We lost the most important value of sport and Olympic Games in the specific, which is non-belligerency and non-aggression. When you admit countries in a Olympics or Paralympics game, countries which don't give importance to this sentiment, to this need, will eliminate the fundamental value of sports. In the late 19th century, after the Belle Époque, the society felt the need to progress and to travel towards progress and cosmopolitanism, because society was ready to reintroduce these values which were abandoned. Where is that need now? And why would we need to? Why do we have the need to boycott these games? Let's start with some definition. Why we chose Paralympics Games is because they're the peak of inclusion when we talk about sport, because it's not only sport, which is inclusive, of course, because we're talking about all the nation, but is inclusive because we're talking about Paralympics. We're talking about special games made for people who have difficulties, for disabilities, and overall inclusion. And why would we boycott them? Let's start with define boycott, which is a specific and political action that goes against the system we live in, against the government, and not against the athletes. How will we do that? We're as a state will not let our athletes participate, and we will encourage people to not watch these games either in presence or from home. Boycotting is the most effective way we have to stand up for our ideas and for our values. And we need to take action now, because today's resolution to these problems, because there's a temporary resolution, is not effective. Using a natural flag, for example, to indicate Russia in the last Olympics we saw last week, it's not an effective action, it's not a resolution, it's just a lack of respect to all the athletes who lost their lives in war. So let's start with why we're against this, why we're in favor of this motion. Boycotting Paralympics game, it's the right thing to do right now, because they go against Olympic values. They would move public opinion and brand awareness on global conflicts, and they would eliminate propaganda and brand identity. Let's start with our first argument. Why we're against? Why we're let's start with talking about what are the values we're debating, because the most important values of sports, like I said before, are non-aggression and inclusion. And seeing the status quo, the values which ancient Greeks promoted and which we should promote are non-aggression and inclusion. Olympic Games and most of all Paralympic Games should be based on these values. And by boycotting these games, we're showing interest. We're showing active interest in these values as a society. After boycotting, we let the whole world know that they can be trust-created, that they are important, and that we need to take action towards them. Boycotting is the most and the solely efficient way of having a say in what is happening over the world, because as citizens cannot act as the government of a country, cannot make decisions, cannot participate actively in the politics of our world. What we can do as a society, as a people, we can contribute to helping these problems stop. When we boycott something, we isolate. When we boycott the Paralympics to the admission of Russian and Belarusian athletes, we isolate aggressive states that are just creating all the most fundamental values of sports, most fundamental values of humanity, because killing athletes and starting wars are not acceptable things. Sorry, did I hear? Oh, I thought it was a PI. I'm sorry. We're isolating them from geopolitics worldwide. But most important of all, sports are the principal way we promote good values in our society. Since we're children, we're taught to pursue teamwork, to be healthy, to pursue an healthy lifestyle, and to, most importantly, respect your adversary, which are the good values that sports bring to everyone, bring to our society. And by making participate this nation, we're against our own value. We're against respecting our adversary, because those countries are not respecting anyone, and we're against the principal values of the sport. And that's why we're in favor of this motion, because because boycotting would promote Olympic values, would pursue Olympic values, would move public opinion and brand awareness on global conflicts, and would eliminate propaganda. Thank you.
$7.50.
Okay. If the other judges are ready, we can give the floor to the first speaker of the op team, please.
Yes. Hello again, everyone. I'm Fabio Cornesecca, and I will be the first speaker of opposition team. Let me just take my timer. My speech will start in 3, 2, 1. Okay, I would like to start my speech by make some confutations about the first speech of proposition team. So one thing that I would like to clarify is that we, as both teams, agree on the position that has been taken on the importance of sports. I believe, and my team believe, in all of those values that sports represent. We believe the importance of sports, and we believe in every value that the first speaker of proposition team brought up in to defend the values of sports in sports. What we don't agree with and what we don't understand is why we should ban, because of course boycotting the Olympics, as proposition team wants to do, is a method of eliminating those sports. Why should we ban those the sports? Sorry?
Point.
No, thank you. Why should we ban the sports? Because of their good values. Why should we ban sports if they have good values? If sports are something that still have the right values in this world. So I'm gonna start my speech by responding to some of the first speaker assumptions. So they are recognizing, as we do, the importance of sports and their values and their values and their values. And as definitions, they said that Paralympic Games are the peak of the inclusion in sports competition. Team opposition, we don't agree with this position. We just believe that Paralympic Games were chosen for this debate because the normal Olympic Games were or have already taken place. The sports and the values of the sports are the same in Olympics and Paralympic Games. So it is not important. It is not a matter of Paralympics or either normal Olympic Games. It is a matter of principle. So they said their exact words were political action against the government. But then we could fight and we could boycott these Olympics for any kind of conflict, any kind of problem that is happening in this world. Climate change, for example. We don't see the logic in boycotting an Olympic game because of some other problem that exists, that is real, that we agree it is very, very bad, because wars, of course, is the worst thing in the world. But we no, thank you. We do not get how boycotting something that has those good values that they talked about could be a positive thing for this world. So I would like to clarify for my team and for the future speeches that allowing countries is different than allowing athletes. An athlete, as is happening and has happened in the last Olympics, participates in the Olympics, no thank you, by itself if their country of provenance is, if we believe that their country is creates war. So, for example, Russian athletes will participate with this white flag. So, letting an athlete participate it is maintaining his human rights, and by by not making it possible for their country to be represented by, we would exclude the country who does the bad things of wars, but still maintain the human rights of the athlete. I really wanted to clarify that, and since, as to sum up, sports have good values in our society, this is the exact reason why we think we should maintain them and not boycotting them. So, talking then about our team line, we are going to bring up two arguments. The first is that the participation of a person does not depend on their nationality, and the second one, the assumption is everyone or no one. So let's talk about the first one, which I'm going to talk about in those last few minutes. The participation of a person does not depend on its nationality. So, as we said, letting athletes, so person, participate is way different than letting countries participate. From the moment an athlete wants to sign up for a sport manifestation, it is his right to do so. But to discriminate the country itself, country who does the wars, and not the athlete, the Paralympic Games Committee should ban the participation of this athlete as a representation of its own country. Which means that we want really to clarify this thing.
Point.
No, thank you. Let's say, since the Olympic Games took place once every 4 years, an athlete train for 4 years straight just to compete, and then he is excluded from a competition. He is not able to participate because, of course, the Olympic Games will be boycotted because of some political decisions that, yes, were made by his country. His country he is a citizen of. But maybe this athlete didn't agree with the political decision of his country. This is eliminating a human right, a human right that this athlete should have, that we want to maintain, and this is not something that we want to allow to happen. So we believe in the importance of presence of Russian and Belarusian athletes in this case, and not because they are so, but because they are person, they are athletes. They are different things from their nationality. So to clarify that, I would like all of you to imagine two scenarios. In the first scenario, there is the athlete in the USA who trains 4 years straight to compete. In the other scenario, in Russia and Belarusian, what does it happen? It happens the same exact thing. Whether the political decisions of a country are different or not from this. It happens the same exact process. Again, assuming that one person has the same political ideas of their country, it is completely wrong. And for this particular reason, we think that not letting participate in Russian and Belarusian athletes, it is a lack of a human right, the human right to be able to participate to sports that we want to have, because of course it is a human right. It is something that everyone should be able to do, not based on their nationality, just on their country of origin. And because Russian, Belarusian athletes in this particular case are not different than any other athletes in any kind of way. Instead, my second teammate, a brief introduction, will talk about the fact that the possibility of an athlete to participate in the Olympic Games will not depend on the political decisions of his nation. So that was my speech. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Fabio. 8-8.
Okay. The other judges are ready. One moment. So, and then the floor is of the second speaker of Pro Team, please.
Panels, we are talking about human rights, and the opposition team said that human rights is to participate to Paralympics Games. We think that human rights is for the citizen to not be killed and abused from a foreign occupation every day for several years. In fact, we are absolutely in favor to the boycott of the Paralympic Games, because it's enhance the sports values, as we said. Let's start with the rebuttal of what the opposition team said. Starting from the definition of boycott. They said that the boycott is to not guarantee athletes to participate to the games. This is absolutely not the definition of boycott, as we said, but I will repeat it for you, because banning sports is not letting people watch them, and not letting the athletes of our nation to participate, not to and to guarantee the participation of every athlete who wants to participate. We won't stop the Paralympics Games. We are just boycotting as a political choice of our country. Clarify that. I would like to add that the Paralympics Games are not just Olympic Games. It's all about inclusivity, because it's a new form of events that is it's kind of new events, because it was created after the modern Olympics, And so it's because to respond to a necessity of the people that want the inclusivity of all people, also with the people who have disabilities. And this is, of course, right, and this must be the base of the sport value. So inclusivity, it's more important, and it enforces the Olympics value. Another things that the opposition team didn't understand and didn't make clear, that the participation of athletes is guaranteed. So an athlete are always paid as participants of Olympic as Olympic athletes. So the states guarantee them a payment, and so because it's their work, because they are agonistic athletes, so they are paid. Another thing is that they have no, thank you. They of course have the possibility to participate to international competition apart from Olympics. So their career is not stopped, is not does not have difficulties, or it's not interrupted in every case. I want to clarify one more time, so that what it's meant for boycott. So the Olympic Games will be acting like normal games, but every state would choose if participates to the boycott. That we firmly think that it's necessary because of the arguments I'm going to explain you in a few seconds. In fact, we think that the boycott is important because, and it's necessary, as I was saying, because it moves the political opinion and brings awareness on global conflicts. What do we mean why we are saying this? If we boycott the Paralympics game, we are going firstly mostly to damage the brands that are the sponsor and the public images of the games. And we all know this, that in this society, advertisement is the main profit for companies. So by boycotting the Paralympic Games, so without giving visibility to those brands, we are creating a political decision, because as the brands will understand that it's convenient to take a side, because they have to continue to make profit, to have followers, to have visibility, to have a good public image, they will take a side. They will take our side because it's morally better. So if brands move, the general global morality changes. In fact, the view of the political situation changes, because those who weren't involved will stand up for a fair side, and probably big brand will morally agree to have a morality, but they do it just for profits, so to make money and to maintain the public image. It's inevitably in our favor, because the result is that big brands will take a side and will take the fair side. So we don't care why they do this, but it's important to destroy the public reputation of the authoritarian regime, such as the Russian one. Furthermore, we think that it will change the reputation of the authoritarian regime, such as we were saying, the Russian regime, because as we all know, the modern Olympic since the creation of modern Olympics were used as a propagandistic medium to demonstrate that the state that wins Olympics and the Games of Olympics is physiologically better, economically, and also with facilities better and educationally better. So a state uses Olympic to as a propagandistic medium. We can have a recent example of North Korea that, of course, we all know it's an authoritarian regime that controls everything, and just use propaganda to say that Korea lost against Portugal that won the World Cup, but it wasn't true. So we understand the importance of propaganda, that it's important to show to the people how the state is big and important. So this is why we think the boycott is really and truly necessary.
Thank you, Viola. 8:32.
Okay. We are ready. Okay. So the floor is to the second speaker of the op team, please.
Am I visible and audible? My speech will start in 3, 2, 1. I'd like to do a step back and see what has been said by proposition to defend what the rebuttal and my team line, and then in my speech I will bring the second argument of my team. But first of all, we have to put something clear. We're not talking about boycotting. The point of this motion is about equality, is about the discrimination that proposition is bringing to this world by not wanting Russian and Belarusian athletes in these games. This is very important. The concept that we are bringing forward is discrimination, and so the equality between athletes and individuals in these games. And so when they are telling us that the participation of athletes, regardless of their nationality, will be guaranteed, this is a lie. Why it is a lie? Because it simply is not true. Why? Because when we're talking about Russian and Belarusian athletes, we are not talking about people representing those nations. We are talking about athletes of that nationality. And so they can't even present as with the white neutral flag, okay? People born, raised, and with that nationality can't get in these games. This is very important. You are creating a discrimination when we're talking about these athletes.
Point.
No. But let's move on with what the second speaker said. They are telling us that the human rights is citizens not getting killed. Very true. But when we are looking, when we brought at what we said in our first argument is that we don't want discrimination towards the athletes because they have put effort in their preparation, and so we believe that they have all right to participate in these games. But when they are talking about human rights, they're telling us that citizens are getting killed. But many other nations, like Russia, USA, China, Israel, are doing the same war crimes, and they are not punished by Proposition T. And we can't find the logic, and we will see that, and we'll tangle that aspect in my second argument. Moving on. They're telling us that we will move the focus, and by boycotting the Paralympics Games, we will move the political view on the conflicts in the world. But I'll ask you, why can't this happen even with the Paralympic Games? Have you heard about the actors at the Grammys with the ice, that they brought a symbol with ice out? We can do exactly the same with the athletes at the Olympics, because they've got more views. They are seen by half of the world which has televisions, and so they can give a more powerful message towards the Olympics and the games themselves. Also, eliminating propaganda. They tell us that they want to eliminate propaganda of certain states, but again, of which states? States that we don't really like, states from the East, states that are far from our Western way of seeing the world. This is what they are provoking. They are talking about integration, about bringing people all together with sports, but they are creating a larger and more deeper discrimination by trying to boycott these games. So let's move on the second argument of our team line. And then the second argument is that the possibility of an individual to participate to the games doesn't depend on the political views and decisions of the nation. In fact, we believe, as a proposition brought in their first argument, that the boycotting of the Paralympic Games comes from the desire of protesting for peace that for the war that's happening today in Ukraine, and it's brought on by Russia and Belarus because of its political affinity with the Russian government. However, by the criteria of wanting people in countries in open conflicts, countries that are involved in open conflicts, based on this criteria, we shouldn't really allow many other countries in the games. As I said before, USA in 2026. This year, which is the year that we are considering for the Olympic Games and the motion, has invaded Venezuela. Israel is still threatening Palestine, and China is killing thousands and thousands of Muslims in the Tibet. Why aren't these countries? Sorry, what?
QI.
Yes.
Are you aware of the fact that almost all the examples that you bring have basically no civilian casualties, such as the US invasion on Venezuela has no civilian casualties? They just took Maduro out, did not kill anyone, and even better, some people's conditions. Then why are you taking it as an equivalent of civilians dying in Ukraine and invasion of Russia that goes on for years?
We are not talking, we are taking this example. Why? Because they're doing an illegal act. They are doing something that is not moral, and it goes against those same values that you brought up in your first speech of equality, of non-discrimination, and not belligerence. You are saying that Israel is not killing thousands of Palestinians right now in Gaza. You're telling us that China is not doing a genocide in the Tibet. I'm not really sure what's going on by Proposition T. So, let's go on. So let's see what has been said in my speech. We tried to demonstrate to the panel how boycotting the Milano-Cortina Games will be a problem for the equality between states, nations, and the same athletes that are going to be discriminated, and how using the criteria that proposition is adopting, half of the countries that have to participate in these games will be not included in these editions. Thank you very much.
Thank you. 7:35.
Okay, ready for the last two constructive speech, starting from the first speech of the pro team, please.
My speech will start in 3, 2, 1. Panel, as a third speaker from said proposition, in my speech, 4 main things. First of all, clarification on frameworks, definitions, all that follows. Then we'll move on to the negative rebuttal. Then we move on to clashes, and finally, impact weighing and comparative analysis. Now, first of all, let me clarify some things that we've said in the framework and that have been brought forward for the whole debate. Now, first of all, team opposition purposefully ignores the fact that Paralympics have been chosen specifically because of their inclusivity. Panel, as history goes, for all the time in human history, Olympics have always been used to send positive messages to humanity. And Paralympics, especially, we see every time they happen, we see all the services on the news, all the stuff telling us inclusivity, projects in school, all of that. So we cannot just purposefully ignore the choice of Paralympic Games because television evidence in the status quo tells us that they're useful. Then on top of that, let me clarify some things about boycotting. First of all, side opposition just purposefully rejects our definition for no reason whatsoever, but we also have the reasons to tell you why boycotting is the way we intended to. First of all, we have the fiat to do this. The debate is structured so that we can choose what boycotting is in our own model. But then on top of that, boycotting has historically been what we side proposition are bringing to you. Let's take as an example the Warsaw Olympics 1980, where most states boycotted them by not showing up with their respective delegations and people not watching them. We're not absolutely excluding athletes. We cannot do that as the Olympic organizing committee. What we can do as nations is not send our delegations to the Olympics. So team opposition does not accept our definition, and they are on top of that factually wrong on that too. Then on top of that, they are also strawmanning our arguments. We've never said that Israel, Brazil, all of the states should be allowed. The motion specifically asks us to debate on whether Russia and Belarus should be allowed or not. Me personally, I would also tell you that Israel should not be allowed, but that's not what we're talking about today. And the fact that we don't allow them does not automatically imply that what Israel is doing, we support it, we should allow them, etc. They're just bringing it up as a criteria. Yes, if you ask me, the criteria that we're using, we should also exclude them, but that's not what we're supposed to talk about now. Now, negative rebuttal for my speech. First of all, it's ironic that team opposition agrees with all our positive values as said in the first speech, but then they actively promoted the aggression of innocent people in their respective countries and their invasion, illegal acts, as they claim to again bring to us Brazil, Israel, all of that. They also keep supporting them, so this is not exclusive to their side. But then on top of that panel, my main rebuttal point for this speech is the white flag. They claim that all of our impacts do not matter because we have just a singular white flag on the Olympics. 3 reasons why that's wrong. First of all, the white flag is only for Russia in this moment. It doesn't matter if it's white. I know that that's a Russian athlete. I know that what's supposed to be under that is Russia because that's the only country that has the flag right now. But then on top of that, that can still be used for propaganda. Another point that side opposition is purposefully ignoring, because in their own country, do you think they care that they have a white flag? No, Putin is still going to be able to promote the participation and possible victory of their athletes as a glory for the state, use it for propaganda, push it on the army, and all that follows for the population. But in our model, that is not doable, because like half of the delegations from the whole world are not going to go to the Olympics. They're not going to participate. So their victory is not a true victory in case they win anything. It's just a fake victory. They're not competing against basically anyone. How can they use it for propagandistic ways? They cannot do that in our model. So that's already why we're ahead on this point. But then on top of that, another point that they completely forget is that any athlete at any point, if they disagree with what their state does, can immigrate and they can change their nationality. They can change the flag under which they compete. That's something that's already been done way too many times in history. That's something that is doable today. So if an athlete chooses to do that, they can also change their flag. That means that white flag again does not matter. Then on top of that, another point of rebuttal, they claim that we're taking away sports. Panel, that's completely false. There are still world games for any respective sport. We're just talking about the Olympics. So we're not promoting non-inclusivity yet. We're keeping it because we have other events in which maybe we're not going to have the Russian athletes allowed to go there. So we're keeping all athletes their own career, their own stuff. And so we're not taking any right away from anyone. Now, panel clashes, 3 main clashes for my speech. First of all, propaganda. Second, which right matters. And third, inclusivity. Now, on the clash of propaganda, as I've already stated, opposition just ignores this fully with their white flag thing. It's not really a clash. It's just a thing that we're bringing that they're not bringing, so we're right on that. But then on top of that, as side proposition, we're eliminating the most powerful tool that countries have in today's modern warfare. Why is it so important nowadays? We see wars from the Cold War up to today being mostly propaganda with all of the news information spread, and we're taking away the most powerful, the most important message that's taken in propaganda. So that's why we win clash number 1, clash on propaganda. Second clash, which right matters. Opposition panel tells us that the right that matters the most right now, it is just some people, maybe 10, 20 athletes can participate in the Olympics and get sports. Well, we on side proposition, we tell you that defunding a nation that actively promotes invasion and killing of foreigners is a much more relevant issue. So the right to life is much more relevant than what opposition is trying to bring to us, which is the right to just compete in some sports randomly. That's just quick intuition pump. Is it better to have one person alive more than yesterday, or to have some people just compete in the Olympics? And we tell you that if we defund part of them, then we're at least going to be able to take a monetary impact on the state and at least prevent the killing of some civilians because of less funds on that state. Then third clash, inclusivity. We give positive values. We promote actively the same values of sport without contradicting the values that have always and always will be in the Olympics. Well, side opposition does not do that by allowing people to participate from the states. They are actively going against the values of the Olympics. So that's also why we read on clash point on inclusivity. But now, panel, final part of my speech, impact weighing and the comparative. First of all, let me tell you, we are ahead on engagement as well. First speech opposition, just 6 PIs asked from me, no response. They know that they're behind in impact weighing and comparative just based off of that. They're ignoring fully a part of our team on purpose. But then on top of that, they bring to us a model, a second speaker, where they claim their point. We can just go to the Olympics and have these small tags that say we don't condone that. First of all, model a second speaker. Second of all, that's not really going to do anything at all because those people can choose not to show them all the stuff. It does not have an impact as broad as fully denying something. But then on top of that, panel, let's play a game. Take everything that's been said so far in the debate, take away fully all of the rebuttals that have been brought forward. Side proposition is still ahead on pure team line. And that is because on their side, the side opposition, they don't really have a real impact. What's the real impact? It's just some people promoting inclusivity. What happens in the world? These people get to compete. And so what? We have like 20 people competing. That's not really a true impact, an impact that's relevant to the means of the debate. But then on top of that, thousands of people die in their side. So which impact is more relevant? They don't mean to, but they also keep the propaganda in their model. So even if we don't take any kind of negative rebuttal in this debate so far, they still have a net negative impact behind all of their battles. Just don't take anything. They still give us a negative impact because they don't mean to do that on purpose, but they can and they will promote propaganda on their model. Now, panel impacts on side proposition. On our side, you have no inherent negative impacts because athletes get paid, they get visibility, they can still participate to any kind of sport event that's organized in the World Games. So obviously, we are not taking away the right of sports from anyone. Then on top of that, we also promote the same values with other events. We don't take we don't contradict ourselves like side opposition does. But then we also, besides not having any negative impact, we also give you several positive impacts, which are we promote peace values, we encourage companies to take a stance. Panel, I haven't mentioned this so far, but companies are going to see that they get a net negative decrease in profits from people boycotting the Olympics, and so they're going to be encouraged to take a stance. This is an incredibly strong impact, because then companies are going to fund states, the global economy is moved by these kinds of multinational companies, and then wars are moved by these kinds of multinational companies. But then on top of that, we have real inclusivity, which is not forced, but it's real, and we deny propaganda, one of the strongest tools in modern wars ever since the Cold War, which puts people's life at stake. Now, panel, to end my speech, one special phrase. Is one single life more valuable than any kind of sports participation? Side proposition, we believe so. Human lives above sport participation every day. Thank you.
Thank you. 8:32.
Okay. If we are ready then for the last constructive speech of this debate, the first speech of the op team, please.
Yes, I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. So let's analyze what has been said during this debate, what our team said, what their team said. Let's start from the last speech that we heard by bringing up some points that have been brought up from the third speaker. So they said if we boycott Paralympics game, we can stop the war. I don't actually see how is it possible to stop a war by boycotting a game. Let's analyze, bring an example, the war in Palestine with Israel. We did a lot of manifestation. We also brought some ships to their coast. That was a very strong act of defense of support to Palestine, but we didn't actually stop the war by boycotting an event like the Paralympics game that are not even the Olympics, the Paralympics game, that they said that they are all about inclusivity. Yes, they are about inclusivity. So why we should bring a boycott in an already suffering side of the Olympics just to prove a point that could be proven nearly anywhere? Like Nicola said, our second speaker, we could bring it up on Super Bowl, on the Grammys, that will be much more efficient. Then let's analyze other things that they have said.
Point.
Yes.
So what you're saying is you believe we should allow these athletes to compete, not because it's not fair to not have compete, just because it's not important, so they might as well do something that's wrong.
No, it doesn't. If I am, let's bring an example. I am a Russian kid that have trained all my life, that I was really good since I was born at a sport. I have nearly made to the Olympics, but then because my country went to war and I didn't do nothing for making the country go to war, I should not be able to participate. to bring an example for all the Russian kids that have my problem, to all the Russian kids, to every kids in the world, and also beating. You also said that if we compete under the white flag, for example, of the Russia, we are not bringing a victory because we are bringing a victory, a fake victory, you defined. But if I compete for myself, I can win also. Then,
Point.
Yes.
Are you aware of the fact that, as I've said, we're not denying sports to anyone because we still have world competition for every single sport. So these people that train their whole life and then went through so many struggles, they still get to compete. Just not at Olympics where the message is stronger.
I'm sorry, I didn't hear anything.
So these people that you say that train, the Russian kid that trained their whole life, can still participate in other world games for their respective discipline, just not at Olympics. So we're not denying anybody anything.
But the Olympic is an event that is a lot seen and it's important, but it's not as seen as other events like the Grammys, as I said before. I'm not trying to go against myself. So the Paralympics and the Olympics are important games, are important things for the person, not the country. So if I play under Russia, or I play under Belarus, or I play under any state, it doesn't matter because it's important to me. It isn't important to boycott. It isn't efficient to boycott a game where they already struggle. Because we agree about, as you said, about the importance of sport, and we understand. Sorry, I lost the point. What was I trying to do? We are trying to say that if I participate to the Olympic, I'm not bringing the ideal, the example of my nation. I'm bringing my personal idea. And that's all. Sorry.
Thank you. 6.
So the first part of this debate is over, the constructive part. Now we can conclude the debate with the two reply speech, starting from the op team. Are you ready?
Yes, I am.
Okay.
If everyone's ready.
Please.
Yes, I will start my speech in 3, 2, 1. Logic. Logic is the one word, the single word I would like to start my speech off. Proposition team lacks of logic. They are assuming that boycotting the Paralympic Games, and so and the reason, I would like to clarify the reason why would they boycott the Paralympic Games, as the motion specifies, is because of the admission of Russian and Belarusian athletes, and this is something I'm going to talk about later. They are saying that boycotting the Olympic Games will lead to no more human deaths, no more deaths, no more wars. That's what they have been saying, especially in the third speech. And of course, they cannot deny it. Because of the last phrase, the third speaker of proposition team left us, human lives above participation of some athletes. Those were his exact words. All of you can see that there is a logic, a very big step missing there. By boycotting the Paralympic Games, by creating resonance, by creating a very important impact that, yes, it will be created by stopping the Paralympic Games for a few hours for their entire duration. Yes, it would create a lot of resonance, but to assuming that this would stop wars in the world and save human lives, I don't even have to explain that. This is something that won't happen, that it will create, yes, a lot of rumor, it will create a lot of talking and comprehension of what's happening in the world, but it will not stop wars. This is something I wanted to clarify, and this is by logic. Another logic I didn't find in their arguments were the logic in the sense, in their sentence, athletes will still get paid. Paid from what? From not participating in the Olympics, and also the nonsense about the changing nationality, the change of nationality of a lunatic who wants to perform in the Olympics because his country is on a war. That is complete nonsense. Also, the logic in maintaining the rights of an athlete by still letting him participating in other competition in their field, in the activity they're good at. This is a complete nonsense. They will be banned from winning the most important and most the eldest trophy that has ever existed, and that represents the values. The values. What values would we miss? We will miss the value of a person, of letting a person participate in. So let's compare the two words just a sec. In their world, in our world, I'm sorry, wars and human rights that come from wars are missing, and this is something that happens. Okay, by their logic, in their world, human rights will be preserved and no more victims for wars, no more wars. This, as I demonstrated, cannot happen by logic. And also in their world, if they want to boycott the Paralympic Games, and if they actually manage to do that, in addition to the human rights that do not come from wars, that still would happen, there will also be the human rights of not letting an athlete, a person, participate. This is something that defies logic to every kind of level. I don't even have to debate that. So I would like all of you to understand my perception, my view on this matter. This is logic. They said certain things, but those things do not have a logic. There is not a direct correlation between not letting some athletes participate in and boycotting the Olympics to not letting wars happening and saving lives in the world. And this is what they based their entire speeches on. So for this reason, I believe that we clearly won this debate. Thank you very much.
Thank you. 436.
Okay. Are we ready for the last speech? And so we can give the floor to the reply speech of the pro team, please.
So, panel, as a reply speech, my duty is to show how the proposition team won all the clash points I will bring you and show you as the clearest of our team line and coherent team line. In fact, first of all, both sides discuss about the definition of boycott. The opposite side said that a boycott is not letting the Russian athletes, in this case, participating to the Paralympic Games. We showed how this is not, apart from the historically definition of boycott, and they can't do this because we have to accept the fiat and at a certain point of the debate. So this is a weak point of their team line. We instead prevent the participation of our athletes, like a clear message of rebellion against all the war crime Russia and Belarusian is now committing, as we all know, and as the opposition team is ignoring. Going ahead, they said and they bring a lot of times that we are trying to boycott Russia by discriminating the Russian athletes. But in their same speeches, they said that the Russian athletes participate to these games. So it's of course a contradiction, and as we demonstrate, as our team demonstrate, Russian athletes will participate, so it will not be discriminated. But boycott, but we will going to boycott the committee that do not take apart in this politically necessary decision. Another weak point of the opposition team, that they went more and more times against themselves by saying that Paralympics sometimes is the most important and most inclusive events that an athlete can aspire for, but other time they said it's useless because we should promote events that are more important, and they brought also examples. So in their speeches, so this is against themselves, and this is in our favor. Finally, in our team line, and specifically in our third speeches, we showed how the impact is a lot bigger and more positive. In fact, they are trying to protecting 20 athletes that participate that could also participate under a flag of a belligerent state, and instead we are protecting athletes that have the rights to sport because they are participating to the games, but we are promoting a political position that will have to change the tide of a war, of a war. So this is why we clearly won this debate. Thank you.
Thank you, Viola. 414.
Okay, I declare the debate over, and we congratulate with you for this interesting debate, and we can clap in our hand. So we will go in our room, and we will return in a short time. Okay. Okay.